What is going on, everybody? I am the FD Guru, bringing to you guys an NFL Week 7 video talking about the main slate with FanDuel salaries as usual. I'm giving you guys a free Guru credit code in this video as I usually do. Drop a like, subscribe. I do appreciate it. Try to help this YouTube algorithm a little bit by interacting with the video. We have 6 games in the early window at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday and 4 games in the afternoon for a total of 10. Good looking main slate. Couple things up in the air with practice to still go this week. And we got some great value. So as usual, I'm going to talk about each position. Hopefully we can have a huge Sunday because this is leading into our busiest time of year, NBA opening night on Tuesday night. Message me for early bird deals, or if you have questions about, the NBA season. We got a lot of stuff to do. I'm excited for that. NBA is obviously the hardest sport to do with all the injury news and, constant values day in and day out. But let's talk about football here at quarterback. I think this is a week we want to spend up. There's a lot of great spend ups here. We've now seen Drake May go over the 8K mark. He had been, 7,500 to 7,800 a lot of the year. Now he's 8,200 for good reason. He's been an absolute stud. But the spend up here at quarterback looks awesome. There's a few different ways you can go. My favorite guy is Jaden Daniels. This Commanders and Cowboys game in the afternoon window is the best game to pick from. We have a 55 over under. It should stay close. You got 2 pretty high-powered offenses. CeeDee Lamb might come back. If not, Cowboys offense can still do a lot with George Pickens and Javonte Williams. But I like Daniels a lot. This Cowboys defense has been god-awful so far this year. 8,700. We're paying a premium, but for good reason. Monday Night Football, he didn't even look great against the Bears. He missed a wide-open Deebo Samuel by throwing a little bit behind him in the first quarter and a little underthrown. The DB cut it off and picked it off. Didn't look great. Still threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 52 yards, got over 20 fantasy points. He's projected the most fantasy points on this slate, which is why he's 8,700, but I like him a lot against this Cowboys defense. We got some questionable guys I'll talk about at the wide receiver position, but having to do with Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, we got to see what his status ends up being throughout this week. Jalen Hurts is just too expensive always, in my opinion. Love Dak Prescott, too. He's going to throw a lot. He's looked great. 3 straight games over 22 fantasy points. That's what he's averaging on the year. He has a 34 spot in there. He's been throwing for a lot of yards. 10 touchdowns. 10 throwing touchdowns in the last 3 games with a rush. So 11 total touchdowns for Dak. He's keeping his interceptions down. He looks great even without CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson, right now the best tight end in football, and that has a lot to do with Dak Prescott getting him the ball. So Dak looks fine. I think for $400 more, though, it's a little bit better to go to Jaden. Drake May you can always go to. He looks great. Mahomes might be arguably the best value at 8K. This Chiefs and Raiders game is the next best game behind the Cowboys and Commanders. I think it's at like a 49.5 or 50 over under. Mahomes has looked like prime Mahomes over the last few weeks. Had a slow start to the year, only 3 throwing touchdowns through the first 3 weeks. But the last 3 weeks, he's looked unbelievable. 8 throwing touchdowns, with 2 rushing touchdowns for a combined 10 total, which is just 1 behind Dak Prescott. Both quarterbacks looking really good over the last 3 weeks. We do have Rashee Rice returning this week, and I've seen plenty of reports saying that they are not going to ease him back into things. He's going to have a heavy workload. Obviously, with a suspension, it's not like he wasn't staying in shape. He wasn't hurt. He was able to stay, fit and, run through plenty of the drills. So Rashee Rice is going to be great, which is crazy. I'm doing this video on Wednesday. FanDuel has still not added Rashee Rice into the pool. I know DraftKings has. He's going to be a major play on DraftKings because he's not expensive enough over there. He's too cheap. We'll have to see if they add Rice to the pool. That's a huge mistake for FanDuel. They got to figure it out. With NBA season coming around, they got to be on their shit. I've caught them sleeping a few different times already during the football season. And, for the thousands or millions of dollars that goes on over there, there's just no excuse for me to be able to catch these mistakes. Even if it's Wednesday, they have to add Rashee Rice into the pool. He's going to be a major play on Sunday as long as he's not too expensive. But Mahomes looks great. Jordan Love could cook the Cardinals at 7,800. Justin Herbert dropped a bunch to 7,600. He was 8,500 last week. You could go to Justin Herbert. He's been fantastic, averaging almost 20 fantasy points. Quarterback position is loaded this week. I'm pretty sure this is the first main slate that Mahomes is going to be on this year because he's been on primetime games every week. So Mahomes is a big play at 8K. You could even look towards Herbert, Jordan Love. I don't think you go much lower than that. I don't think quarterback is a position where we want to go cheap. There's just too many great spend up options. I'm going to put Jaden Daniels for the sake of this video. For running back, don't love the top three guys. I thought Jonathan Taylor was too expensive last week, and I think he's too expensive this week against the Chargers. He did cook, but at 10K, being limited in the passing game, he really has to score 2 touchdowns on the ground for him to hit that value at 10K. I say it week in and week out. I really value running backs that are able to pass catch, which is why I'm always more willing to spend 10K on a guy like Christian McCaffrey over, a Josh Jacobs or a Jonathan Taylor. These guys are highly priced because they have that ceiling, so you can't go wrong. I'm not saying that the winning lineup at the end of Sunday can't have Taylor, Jacobs, or Barkley, but I just don't think it's where we want to go. I recommended spending up at quarterback, and if you spend up at quarterback, it's going to obviously be harder to spend up anywhere else. Don't think it's necessary. Now, Devon Achane at 8,500, now we're getting into the pass catching. With Tyreek Hill out, he surprisingly actually did all of his work on the ground against the Chargers. 16 rushes, he had that huge 50-plus rushing touchdown, which obviously helped, but outside of that, he still cooked. 130 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, still got involved in the air, but not as much as I thought. 4 receptions for 22 yards. He has a much tougher matchup this week. As bad as the Browns have been, their defense is still pretty damn good. Myles Garrett, one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. But I still like Achane. He's going to be heavily involved. Him and Jalen Waddle are the 2 guys on this team. 8,500 with a guy who can pass catch and be a consistent red zone threat is certainly worth it, in my opinion. I kind of like Quinshon Judkins as a sneaky play this week at 7,400, expecting a big bounce back game for him on the other side against this dreadful Dolphins defense. Was awful last week against the Steelers, but the Steelers can be pretty stingy on D. I like a bounce back for Judkins at 7,400. I'm not in love with him, but he's certainly a guy you could look at. My favorite play is Breece Hall against the Panthers. Not many times we can say with a Jets matchup that we don't have to worry about a blowout, but we really don't here. They're at home. They might get a rare win here at MetLife. It's a 1 or 2 point spread last time I looked at it, so they're going to be heavily using Breece Hall. Huge thing here, too, is Garrett Wilson is doubtful, so now they're going to have to run through their C squad of receivers, Allen Lazard, Josh Reynolds, and whoever else they have. Breece Hall could actually get very involved in the passing game. Justin Fields, as bad as he is, I always like picking running backs who have bad quarterbacks because they just tend to dump it off more because they panic in the pocket and they don't know what to do downfield. I could see 4, 5, 6 dump offs to Breece Hall on Sunday, especially without Garrett Wilson running those 5 to 10 yard routes. But either way, I think Breece Hall is going to do plenty on the ground. He had 22 rush attempts last week against the tough Broncos defense. Didn't do much with it. But I still think he's the best value play at only 7K. In my opinion, he should be 8K this week against the Panthers. I think he's $1,000 underpriced. One last guy I'll mention is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Didn't have a great game against the Bears, surprisingly enough, had a brutal fumble where the Bears scored right after, but the good thing to see there was that he still handled a majority of the workload. McNichols didn't really take any carries away from him, still 17 carries, 61 yards. 6,600 is a good price on him. He's going to see upwards of 20 plus touches on Sunday. I don't think they were too worried about him fumbling. He's a young guy. They're going to keep running him. They don't have much else to offer in the backfield. So I like Krosky Merritt at sub 7K. I think he should be in the low 7,000s this week, as he is projected pretty good against the Cowboys. Like I was saying earlier, massive 55 over-under in this game. So can't go wrong with Krosky Merritt in this matchup. Wide receiver, we got to see what's going on with CeeDee Lamb. If he's out again, George Pickens is going to be an elite option against this Commanders secondary that hasn't looked good. Again, huge over-under. Justin Jefferson, I saw on DraftKings, he's like high 7,000s, looks a lot better over there, especially if J.J. McCarthy can come back. 9K on FanDuel. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on that. He hasn't been prime Justin Jefferson so far this year. So I really don't think overall we want to spend up a ton on wide receiver. Guys we have to look out at is Garrett Wilson. He's doubtful, so he's probably going to be ruled out. Quentin Johnston's a huge one this week. Him and CeeDee Lamb, we got to pay attention to those because that'll obviously open up George Pickens and Ladd McConkey, who was an automatic play at 6,600 last week. Had him in every lineup. Huge reason for our success. He had a huge 45-yard reception at the end of the fourth quarter to put them in field goal range and get that W against the Colts. So McConkey, he finally found the end zone. The last two games, if Quentin Johnston's out again, I'm going to be heavily using him even at 7,300. With Johnston out, the usage that he sees, like we saw last week, he should be like 8,300. So we got to keep an eye out on that injury news because Johnston's questionable right now with a hamstring. Marvin Harrison missed the second half of that Cardinals game last week with a concussion. McLaurin's another big one. Him and Noah Brown are massive. Oh, Noah Brown was ruled out today. Okay, that's news to me. So we already know Brown's out. McLaurin, I don't know if he practiced or not. Will return to practice this week, but his status is uncertain. So yeah, we do want to pay attention to McLaurin because if McLaurin's out with Noah Brown already out, Debo could be a play against this terrible Cowboys defense. And then who we could really look at, I had him in the single game lineup all over the place because he was only $1,000, is Chris Moore. With McLaurin and Noah Brown out, he slid into the number 2 guy behind Debo Samuel, and he was getting targeted. 5 targets, 3 catches, 46 yards, and a nice touchdown catch. He is only 4,600. So we have a massive domino effect to pay attention to with the injury statuses of these wide receivers this week. Pay attention to the Cowboys, pay attention to the Commanders, pay attention to the Chargers. It could open up a lot of things, and keep an eye out to see if FanDuel puts goddamn Rashee Rice in this pool. I mean, it's ridiculous that he's not here. It really bothers me that he's not even in the pool. But so yeah, we want McConkey if Johnston's out. The guy that I'm really picking in this video, we're going back to Stephon Diggs. He was a letdown last week. I had him in every lineup, but I don't regret the play at all. He had an absolute bullshit OPI called against him in the second half of that game where it took out a 55-yard reception for him. I had props on him over receiving yards and fantasy points. He ended up being the only leg on a majority of my slips that missed. He ended up, when I looked at all my prop tickets at the end of it, he ended up costing me not even him, the ref who called it. It was like over $300 in props that I would have won if he went over his, whatever it was, 65 yards receiving. And with that 55-yard catch, if they didn't call a terrible OPI on it, he would have went over. I like him again this week. He's too cheap, 5,800. He was 5,900 last week. He's got just as good of a matchup against a terrible team in the Titans. Drake May looks great. He's going to get him the ball a lot more this week. I'm probably going to end up putting Diggs in all my lineups once again. There are rumors that the Patriots are looking for another number 1 receiver, but nothing is going to happen this week if it does. Nothing that I'm worried about, but as a Pats fan, that got me a little excited. But Diggs for week 7 on Sunday, love him. Waiting for him to find the end zone for the first time this year. Could very much be this week against the Titans. And that leads me into my prop play I already put in just to kind of form a couple of my value plays from this video. I use the Sleeper app here for my prop picks. We're taking Diggs and Hall. Use my code on the screen here. They'll double your deposit up to $100. Diggs, I mean, I'm doing this on Wednesday. I'm assuming that number is going to go up, but right now I locked him in at 47.5 receiving yards. Seems way too low on Diggs, coming off of, back-to-back 100-plus receiving yards over the last 3 weeks. Too low against the Titans. And then Breece Hall, over 67.5 rushing yards. I looked at multiple apps and websites. A lot of apps and websites had him. His line was over 70. I saw one at 70.5. I saw one at 71.5. I think this number, especially on Sleeper, is going to go up, but right now it's low. By Sunday, it's going to be above 70, in my opinion. Great matchup against the Panthers. We got $25 to win 76 on that. For my Guru credit code, go to my website, fd-guru.com. I just activated all NBA memberships. If you want my NBA early bird deals, message me on Twitter. They're not on the website, but I can set you up for a nice deal on that. FanDuel and DraftKings main slates every single day. It's a lot of content from me. Ends up being well over 200 lineups. Massive bang for your buck. I do all the heavy lifting, all the work for you. There's a lot of work that goes into NBA lineups. So love this for you guys if you can take advantage of the early bird deals. But for the Guru credit code in this video, go to my shop page. We got week 7 NFL 25 for the year, all capital letters. Week 7 NFL 25. You'll get 20 free Guru credits. Again, just like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I'll be doing more videos now that NBA is around the corner, and I know people like the NBA videos because they need to be informed on a lot of different stuff going on. And then I meant to mention I have another NBA giveaway, so go to my Twitter there and retweet that post. You might get selected on Friday for a free membership. Tight end, I think we spend up again. If CD Lamb is out once again, Jake Ferguson's worth it at 6,800. I don't know if he's worth it if CD Lamb is back. There's not a lot of great options. So Tyler Warren, we know his upside. He's been an absolute stud as a rookie for the Colts. But I like Trey McBride again. I had him everywhere last week. 6,900. Ended up scoring a touchdown, 72 receiving yards. Obviously, if Marvin Harrison is out with his concussion, it would make McBride look even better. If Harrison's in, still don't care. McBride is a number one option for the Cardinals. Love him at 6,900. I meant to look. I had a sneaky value last week. Michael Mayer was so cheap. 5,100 is not terrible. The Raiders are going to most likely be down in this game against the Chiefs. We have Mayer at 5,100. I don't know if Bowers is coming back, but yeah, there's unlikely to be available for week 7. So it seems like Brock Bowers is doubtful again. You could look at Michael Mayer. He had a nice touchdown for me on a lot of my lineups. Very cheap, 7 targets for 50 yards. So if you wanted to go cheaper at tight end, I would be looking at Michael Mayer for the Raiders. But to spend up $1,800 more, I like Trey McBride a lot. And then my favorite defense play, Cleveland Browns. I know I mentioned A-Chain. I still think A-Chain can have a great game, but overall at 3,900, the Cleveland Browns defense looks good. You could even run it back the other way and look at the Dolphins defense at 3,800, but they've been so bad. But so have the Browns offense, so I don't really know. I think we go cheaper here with the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett might get us a couple sacks. That'll do it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.